NHL playoff picks and predictions. It's Monday, April 20th. We are live on PuckTime, WagerTalk TV. Andrew McInnis, Carmine Bianco, Lawrence Presman. Let's have ourselves a show, guys. Playoff hockey is here. It's been exciting. We got some game twos and also game one taking place tonight in the NHL. Cannot wait to watch these games today. And honestly, what a start it's been to the postseason. The excitement has been there, lived up to the expectations, Carmine. The crowds have been fantastic. Hope you had yourself a great weekend, man. How are you?
Yeah, no, weekend was good for the most part. It's a bunch of stuff, different things going on as well, Andrew. But Sabres won. Nice comeback by the Sabres to win that game against the Bruins. I felt like that was the game the Bruins needed to steal, and they couldn't do it. And then last night I had a 5% play up in the Vegas and Utah game. I know a lot of you guys won because the number was 5.5, but I put it out as a 6, so it's a push. I never want to put out a line I think is going to be stale. If I think it's at 5.5, but I'm starting to see some 6s pop up on our WagerTalk live lines. That's the number that everyone I figure is going to be able to get. But the ones who got 5.5, congratulations, you guys cashed. Andrew, Ottawa, Carolina tonight, game 2. Pittsburgh and Philly, the Battle of Pennsylvania, fantastic one. Game 2, Minnesota and Dallas. Man, primetime Jake Ottinger, he didn't get pulled in that game. 3 game 2s. And Andrew, as I throw back to you, these teams, all 6 teams were combined 3 for 34 in the power play. Penalty killing is ruling in the NHL. How was your weekend?
Yeah, for those people that say that we don't get penalties in the postseason, they must not be watching, because a lot of power plays, and the power plays are solely responsible for some wins or some losses. Carm, it was up and down for me this weekend. I'll start with the bright spot. I did release the Montreal Canadiens, so it's nice when you win as a fan and you win as a sports bettor. I did have the Bruins, unfortunately, and as a Sabres fan, I'm sure that was one that you were probably cheering against me with. That was tough, but 5% play on Carolina over 3.5 goals. And, I'm still feeling real confident. The NHL run is still fantastic, but it's one of those tough ones where I might have to realize the playoffs are here. The XG was around 4.7, 4.8, but, I didn't want to release a minus 150 to customers and even the regulation with playoffs. But the team totals, people might see less of those from me during the playoffs, just because there's going to be a lot fewer games that the winning team ends up getting 4 or 5 goals. Playoff hockey for you. So it was a bit frustrating for me to see my team that I selected dominate the entirety of the game and, the 5% play lose. So a bit frustrating on that perspective, but still feeling really good, Carm, and ready to roll here. And we've got the Prez. He's in the bullpen. He's waiting right now. He's going to talk about game 2 of that Carolina and Ottawa series.
Let's bring him in, man. The man, the legend, the myth. He's not the GOAT, Dave Koken, but he's somewhat close.
Just get on with it.
Prez,
I don't
what
need,
is up?
I don't need the look at my head. I'm so big. I got a big head.
How's your NHL been so far?
Well, I'm 1-1 in the playoffs, Carm. I did have the Pittsburgh Penguins. They did not show up for me. But I'm on a 9-2 hockey run. 9-2 hockey run. And I'm on a 12 or 5% NHL run. And guess what I got today, boys? I got me a rare 5% play. And I came on last week. I told you guys I had a 5% play in the NBA. It was only my 3rd 5% play of the entire NBA season. Well, I won it. And I almost never have these plays, guys. Like, talk about integrity. Both of you guys know you're going to make like 20-1 in sales with a 5% play. You want to make a whole lot of sales, release a 5% play. That's what happens over at WagerTalk. And yet I barely have any, which means these aren't cash grab plays. I'm not trying to make any extra sales. If I wanted to make a whole lot of sales with throwing 5% plays at a wall, I'd have 6 a month, which is what they allot us. I barely have 2 a month. These are extremely rare bets for me, and I have one up tonight. So please, guys, I'm on a 9-2 run in hockey. I'm seeing it great. Let's go, all of us together, the whole gang. What?
Yeah. What do you mean, what?
What,
You
Carm?
don't mean, I'm always going to have a rebuttal to you.
What is there a rebuttal? I haven't even given my pick.
Well, it just makes it sound like when you say, like, other guys are just throwing up against the wall. No.
Oh, Carmine,
lot of people. That's like saying that is like saying I only release manhole covers. I don't toss around frisbees like everyone else does.
That's not even close. That's not even close.
Anyways,
and listen, I don't want to get into gender politics here, but you sound like somebody of the other gender. It's like I tell you that I don't release a whole lot of 5% plays, and all you hear is he must be implying that I do release a lot of 5% plays.
No,
he didn't imply that at all. And he doesn't need you to make those implications. No, I'm talking about me. I don't release a lot of 5% plays. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm not implying anything. And no, honey, your bum doesn't look fat in those jeans.
Oh, dear God. Anyways, Carolina minus 152, Ottawa Senators plus 125. Games total sits here at 5.5, shaded to the over. I can tell you this much, Prez. The XG in that first game came out to 6.35 goals. I think it was like 484 to like 151 or something like that for the Canes. If there was ever a game for Ottawa to have stolen, it was game one because their goalie played his eyeballs out. Figuratively speaking, how are you breaking this one down?
Well, Carm, I'll tell you right off the bat, I like the under in this hockey game. I like the under in the first time they played against each other. I did not release it. I was mad at myself, and I like the under here. The bottom line is the reason I don't love the under is they went 0-9 on the power play, both teams combined, which is extremely rare. I got to believe if there are 9 power plays tonight, they're going to get 1 or 2 goals. With that said, the game didn't really move. If you watch the game, it wasn't like there was a shit ton of goalposts and crossbars and diving, sprawling glove saves, and a couple of goals were turned back. None of that happened. All that happened was this game just kind of sat. It never really went anywhere. And I feel like that's going to be similar. I think both these teams are heavy. Both these teams want to play slow, tight hockey. Carolina has done this year in, year out. They get to the playoffs. Every game is 3-1. Every time this Carolina team gets there. This is who they are. This is their identity. This is their makeup. And I feel exactly the same way about Ottawa. This is who they are. They want to play these low games. Look, neither of these teams are rolling out Connor McDavid, Nate McKinnon, or Sidney Crosby. Both of these teams are defensive-minded. And last game was 2-0. If they score 3 more goals than they scored last game, that's still only 5 goals. From my perspective, I look at this and I think to myself, there are 6s out there. If you can get a 6, protect yourself from an empty net, 3-2, empty net makes it 4-2, we all push. I got to look at the under in this game. I just, and frankly, at the under in every time these two teams play. If this goes 7 games, I like 7 unders.
All right. So in my best Teddy covers. So Prez, what you're saying is you like the under here. Let me ask you a question. 0 for 15 combined on the power play. Ottawa is the 8th best power play in the league. Carolina has the 4th best power play in the league. When you look at penalty killing, not so good, at least for the Sens. Do you not figure they'll be better on the power play in this game? Which
I do.
More goals?
I do. I think there'll be way less power plays. They're not going to be 9. I think they're going to be 5, and I think there'll be 1 goal. So that's a 20% power play rate, 1 out of 5. I am a mathematician.
All
Look
right.
at the, by the way, somebody said Greece loves me. I love Greece. I slept on the park bench in Athens when I was young. It was good to me.
The bench was.
Yeah,
Or
all of
Athens.
Athens was. I loved Greece, dude. I went to
Yeah.
Eos. I went to Paros. I went to Santorini. I rented mopeds. I drove around the island. I had 2 women. One was from Denmark. Her name was Charlotta. I remember that. That was good. Yeah, Greece was good to me.
And with all that, it's great to see that you put aside enough time to release the 5% play for tonight. Tell us once again on your way out.
Very rare play. Can't I talk to Andrew about the Montreal Canadiens for a few minutes? Are you guys in a rush?
Absolutely. No, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, Andrew, that I picked the Montreal Canadiens to win the series as a free pick. I gave it out on my shows. I didn't understand that line. It was one of the weirdest damn lines I've ever seen. I think this team is fun. It's exciting. I like what they did yesterday, made a nice comeback. Slava looked incredible. They had good goaltending. He looked relaxed. His rebound control was excellent. The defense were able to clear the net. There was very little traffic yesterday. Very, very impressed with Montreal. And Carm, after contemplating, we did a show on Saturday where I said I wasn't going to cheer for the Buffalo Sabres. I would like to take that back. I think I'm going to cheer for the Buffalo Sabres. If any coach deserves a Stanley Cup, it's Lindsey Ruff. If any city deserves a champion, it's not Buffalo, let's be honest here. But I do like that team. It's a fun team to watch. They made a great comeback. So congrats to you 2 boys. Both your teams, 1-0 lead. And I am cheering for the Vegas Golden Knights too. So I will be cheering for Vegas and Buffalo.
Prez, before you get out of here, I want to ask you home ice and road versus home here. Some teams, it matters more than others, I think we would say. I've often talked about Carolina being one of my favorite teams to bet on when they're at home, just because of how deep they are. The Canadians, I mean, with Suzuki and Caulfield sort of getting shut down, Slafkovsky, obviously all his goals were on the power play. But when you think about the playoffs as a whole and as the years have gone on, how much do you care about home ice? And if you do, for some teams, which teams are they?
You know, Andrew, home ice should be huge in the NHL playoffs, given that you get last change. Yet it hasn't turned out to be. Now, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I cannot. It doesn't feel like home ice goes out there and wins all the time. I think I don't think it's as important as it should be. And look, we're seeing these road teams win on a regular basis, and especially in the first game. I think the first game is the game where the road teams have a more likely chance of winning. And look, hey, the Kings played outstanding too yesterday and were almost able to get a victory. And Utah went into Vegas and, really dominated that hockey game for a fair amount of time and also could have gotten out of there with a W. So I don't think it's as important as people might think it is. The more interesting discussion is the zigzag theory, because here we sit, right? Is Pittsburgh at home going to make it 1-1? Is Ottawa on the road, a good team, a feisty team, going to make it 1-1? It's how strong is the zigzag theory?
Well, you know what? Carm, Prez brings it up. We might as well, stick with the script here. We might as well just look at this that Ralph Michaels gave us. Pardon me here, guys. I thought we had it here. Oh, hold on. There we go. So this is from Ralph Michaels, Prez, based a lot on what you were just talking about. Carm had this locked and loaded for us here. Does losing game number 1 as a home favorite equal some money? No ... here. 17 and 14. However, the average price line being minus 167, minus 10.2% ROI. So it is interesting because you try and figure out which teams you want the zigzag for. And And we always say, hey, just because you lost game one doesn't mean you're going to win game two. So it depends on which way you think about it, right?
Yeah, but I'm with you there, and that makes sense to me. I think that I would have guessed somewhere around those numbers. Look at Dallas, guys. I mean, Carm, Andrew, how old is this Dallas team? They just looked awful. Or are we just completely overreacting? We've seen this all play out before. It's still going to go 7.
I'm going to let everyone overreact and let it change the number. Everyone, again, if the overreaction was a thing last year, I think it was in round 1 of the NHL playoffs. The Leafs lose to Tampa Bay something like 7-1 in Toronto, and then turned the wheels on them in game 2 and beat them 7-1. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. There's an overreaction, but that series ended up playing out the way it was supposed to. They went deeper, kind of like the Boston one. I'm not sold on the road teams winning game 1, only because 3 years ago it was 5 out of 8 that won road teams. Then 2 years ago it was only 2 of the 8 road teams won on round 1, game 1. And last year it was home teams were 7-1. They're 4-3 right now in this one. And I like dogs in second games. It's one of the reasons why I think Philly could do it again tonight. I think Minnesota could do it again tonight. So in game 2s, I think the expectation is everyone says there's no way Pittsburgh's going to lose the opening 2 games at home against Philadelphia, while overlooking the fact that Philadelphia down the stretch were one of the best teams in the NHL. People, there's no way Minnesota is going to win game 2.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, you know what, Carm, I agree with you on both of those accounts. And I was wrong on the Pittsburgh account. There's a lot of speed on this Philadelphia team, a lot more than we're used to. Philadelphia perennially has been a heavy team, and now they are fast. I think they end up matching up very well against Pittsburgh. I was wrong on that handicap, and I'll be surprised if Philadelphia doesn't actually win the series. And, you know, Dallas, I mean, this is, you know, basically as must win a game as you can get, or a veteran team that has Stanley Cup aspirations. So I don't disagree with you. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
I really enjoy doing these shows with the two of you. And please, guys, get my 5% play. Please, I'm serious about that. I very rarely have these plays.
Prez, once I find out what it is, I'll be cheering for you. So let me know. I'll be cheering for you. We'll have some fun. It'll be a good time.
I will text you. Thanks for having me, boys. Lots of love.
See you, Prez.
All right.
And Carm, I just felt like bringing that up on the screen just because we had the chart, right? And Prez kind of segued us into it. So I felt like we might as well bring it up now. So it is interesting, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, wins and losses not always equating to, you know, a positive ROI because of the betting number we're going to see, right? So typically these teams, they're favorited. So going into game 2, the favorited price, we saw that number, the average price was extremely high. So yes, if a team loses in game 1, it still does mean they can lose game 2. It's more than capable. It can happen is what we're trying to say here.
Listen, we're trying to figure this stuff out in a year in which I told you it's like a year like no other of the teams that missed the playoffs, the teams that made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we have. I'm not saying you have to change your handicapping, but I'm saying you have to take into consideration that we're seeing a lot of things that we don't normally see. Don't let it influence your betting. But you know, like a team like the Bruins and Sabres yesterday. That was the perfect chance for the Bruins to get up 1-0 in games against a jittery Sabres team that only had like 9 shots at one point through the second period. They just looked on edge, and especially when the Bruins got ahead of them 2-0. But they found a way like they normally do in the third period. And I think that only lends to the fact now that I think the Sabres are a much better bet in game 2, that they got one of their worst games that they played in a while. Meaningful games, that is, and they came away with the victory. Good teams find a way of winning when they're not playing at their best, and that was with the Sabres. And the same thing, Andrew, goes with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, which we're going to talk about now, so we might as well pop that one up on the screen if you can.
Let's do it.
you look at this one, and the Pens are 153 in this spot, Andrew. And my thinking is what did I see in game one that makes me feel better about taking Pittsburgh in game two? And this isn't a slight on Pittsburgh, guys, because I took them in game one, and I bet them in game one and released them in game one. The Flyers just played. They gave them absolutely no ice, Andrew, whatsoever. It wasn't as physical a game as I thought it would be. Only 9 penalties called in that game. One team goes 0 for 4. One team goes 0 for 5 in the power play, and even the shots on goal. Philly 20-17. You don't see the Pittsburgh get 17. Penguins get 17 shots on goal many times. And if Dan Vidar is playing the way Dan Vidar is playing, and you're keeping them at 20 shots or less, the opponent, why can't they win at another plus 130 price?
I think for me, my answer is score lines from game to game, specifically in this series, Carm, I don't think are going to matter that much. I think the reason being is that I know that you're probably tired of hearing me say this, but I'll say it one more time, that I really think that Philly and under and Pittsburgh and over are going to correlate big time. So whatever, it sounds crazy, but I truly believe whatever team scores first in these games has a very, very good percentage of winning, because Philadelphia, when they score first, they are masters at protecting the lead. I want to see how Philadelphia reacts when they go down 1-0 or down 2-0. What type of hockey are they going to play then? Because the Rick Tocchet style of hockey, the Rick Tocchet school of hockey, it teaches people to be comfortable, to be excited, and to be willing to play in boring 2-1 games. And I'll make it very clear on this show, I am not disrespecting that style of hockey. In fact, that's a winning recipe of hockey. And they did a perfect job. What did they have, Karma, the Penguins, like 8 shots going into the third period or something? So they did their job. But it's kind of, and I know it's probably funny for you when I bring up soccer, but let's put it this way. You have a team that is, goes up 1-0 and they sit back and they protect the lead because they're the underdog. They park the bus. But what if that team goes down 1-0 or 2-0? Are they going to be able to stay and play that same similar style? I truly, truly believe that if Pittsburgh goes up 1-0 in the first 10 minutes, all of a sudden this game turns into more of a pond hockey game than people think it's going to. That was the perfect Philadelphia recipe. I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate that every single game. So can they score 4 goals and win games? Do you think Philadelphia is capable of winning a game when the game goes over the total?
I do. I do. I don't see a lot of them just because they're playing so well defensively. That why vacate a plan that is working so well for them at the moment, and it really is for them. I get it what Prez was saying before. These things tend to zigzag. You look at Dallas Stars last year, probably the one that sticks out the most. But Dallas Stars last year, I think they played. Was it Colorado in the first round? I could be wrong, or it could be a second round one. But anyways, Andrew, every single game, it zigzagged. It was like Colorado won game 1, Dallas game 2, Colorado, then Dallas, and Colorado, and then Dallas, right? So it was pretty much a zigzag. It's not a handicapping thing per se again, but this is one there. I'm more apt to bet on the Philadelphia Flyers than I am to bet on the Pittsburgh Penguins, just because the Penguins are going to have to be that much better in game 2 in order to get past what Philadelphia did to them. Philadelphia never gave them the inside of the neutral zone. So when you got to the Philadelphia line, they had 4 guys stacked up there. You had to dump it past them. Yeah. But we know that the Penguins are a puck control team. Jenny Malkin, Crosby, be it Letang or Rush or whoever, they want to be rushing up the ice with that puck. They completely shut that down. So we saw in the power plays. That's why the power plays went 0 for 9. Every single team thus far in the playoffs, with the exception of that game, Minnesota and Dallas, where there's still 10 power plays, 3 power play goals. Everyone is Andrew's pressuring the outside. They got the sticks out. They're trying to make them move the pucks and just get them out. I'm really impressed with the power play killing and the bad power plays. Colorado is like 1 for 34 or something like that. Their last 35, and the Sabres have gone 26 in a row without a power play goal. So it's really weird.
So for me, Carmen, this one, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh scores the first goal in this game. I think, you could probably take first goal means that they're going to win the game as well. But I think first goal of the game for Pittsburgh is a pick to look at. You could also just look at Pittsburgh first period, I think is a good one to look at. And, it's funny. We talk a lot, I find, in the regular season about period totals. But once the postseason clicks, I like to look at these first period money lines, because as much as I'm saying that they're going to, the team that scores first will probably win, I'm very intrigued with how this pulls out, because I'll tell you what, if Philadelphia goes up 2-0 and they don't even have the last change, this is going to be a 4-1 Philadelphia. Like, if you had to ask me right now, which team that went down 0-1 should be the most concerned, even though Pittsburgh has all the veteran players, I would say it would be Pittsburgh, because they have to take advantage of having that last change. You give Philadelphia the last change, they're going to get all the matchups that they would choose. So for me, I'm going to go with the minus 140 first period money line for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Forget about overcomplicating it with worrying about the juice. I'm fine with the 140. I learned my lesson with that Carolina 5%, man. I want the team total. They dominate, and they don't win the team total. So minus 140, Pittsburgh, first period money line, and that will be a client play for my customers.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. And, here's the thing is, like anytime you do any type of a show and you give out an opinion, sometimes we'll tell you it's a client play, and sometimes it's just a lean. It doesn't make the card. But I think the toughest thing is trying to put forth, Andrew, the fact that our opinions might not always be conventional, but where people could just agree with us, right? It's like, oh yeah, just take Pittsburgh and equate it with the over, and just bet Pittsburgh in the over, put it in a parlay and mix and repeat and stuff. No, we're not telling you that. We're giving you like our leans on it. But getting back to this game, hopefully, Los Kid is in our chat. I don't hate Pittsburgh. I don't hate anything. There's nothing in life that I hate. But Andrew, if they lose game 2, this series is over. What I wanted to just talk about, the zigzags, is almost like the double one that I used to see, where teams lose the first 2 games at home and then they go and win 2 games on the road. And I think that's why I was looking at Dallas, because I think Dallas did that against Vegas one year, if I remember correctly. They lost both games at home and then go into Vegas and win both games and even up that series. So it can happen.
It's kind of funny. You have that expression, a series isn't over until a team, loses at home. But then what about until a team wins at home? Because, sometimes it happens the other way. Carm, you say you don't hate anything, and I respect that out of you. But if there's one thing I strongly dislike, I don't know about you guys, but people that chew their food loudly. So you say you don't hate anything. I would say that if I had one thing that I would think my pet peeve would be, people that chew loudly. So I don't have any strong hatreds towards anyone in life, anything, but that might be my one pet peeve. So I think you're allowed to have some things that bother you a little bit.
Dude, I was like, what was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? I was with, I think it was yesterday. And my buddy goes, oh my God, you've become like behind the wheel of a car. Cause I'm normally calm. He goes, you've become the atypical 70-year-old Italian man or whatever who complains at the drivers in front of you. If I let somebody in, would it kill them? Would it kill them to just go like in the rearview mirror? Thanks, man. Whatever. No. So then I want to drive around them, cut them off, and then see, hey, thank you, or whatever. Like, come on, man. What is wrong with the world? I get this only happened in the 70s and 80s where people were actually courteous to each other, maybe even the 90s. But somebody lets you in, You know what I mean? Into a
No
jammed up
way.
lane.
Hey, thanks very much. I
No way.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He could be giving me the finger and I wouldn't know it because I just see the hand waving. So I'm good with it anyways. So anyways, Andrew, speaking of hand waving, if Jake Ottinger doesn't play better tonight, he could be waving goodbye to the Detroit
To the number one job. To the number one job.
To the number one job. He did not look good. They talked about it in the game about, do you pull him? Do you pull him? Do you pull him? And all I could think about is when you talked about how last year's coach, was it Peter DeBoer's?
Yeah, Pete DeBoer. Oh, we lost you, Carm. You went on mute. Yeah, Pete DeBoer when he pulled Jake Ottinger, and then we knew that Jake Ottinger wasn't going to go, so they were going to get rid of the coach. And Carm, some of those goals were nice, but I will say that looking at these numbers. 6-1 final, man. 6-1 final for the Minnesota Wild. Look at a quick game recap here. Shots were close to even. Faceoffs were close to even. Penalty minutes were close to even. The hits were 49-39. Block shots 17-8 in favor of the Wild. Giveaways were 14-8, the Dallas Stars. But when it comes down to it, it's the big boys have to step up. I always talk about depth. Depth is important, but your big guys have to step up. Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, Joel Eriksson Ek, the big boys stepped up. Jason Robertson scored 1 goal, and guess what? That's all she wrote for the Dallas Stars, Carm. So I'll tell you, before I go back to you, I'll just give you my pick. Titan CT, it seems like we're on the same page here. I like the under in this game. I know it didn't fly over the total than the first one, but this to me is the goal fest sort of in game one, especially for the road team. And then the home team's going to protect home base, stay back, play a good defensive game. I'm looking for a 3-1 victory from the Dallas Stars. We'll see what happens here, Carm. Regardless of who wins this game, I'm looking for maybe a different style of defensive. And it's funny, I didn't mention this at the top of the show. First period, under 1.5, 7-0 to start the playoffs. 7-0. And I know because I had over 1.5 in Vegas in the first period. And of course, they scored 2 goals a minute in, which pissed me off. But I think that this was the one series that we saw no goals early on, but a ton of goals later. Give me the under, Carm. I hope you're back with me. What do you have for us?
Yeah, let me. This isn't for you, Andrew. I'll give you all my opinion in this game, and I'll turn it into a pod. But like what Andrew said, so you guys in the chat or you guys watching a little later on WagerTalk TV, you have a bet like Andrew's. You have like the under 1.5 and a couple of quick goals in the first period or what have you, and your bet loses. Would you rather know that you've lost your bet right away, or at least have the excitement and belief that you might actually have a chance to win it late, even if the result ends up the same way and you lose both ways, either early or either late? Would you rather lose early? Would you rather lose late? I know Andrew, the simple one is, I don't want to lose at all. Yes, but we have no control over that. Everyone doesn't, unless you believe the guys on the X who they're like 99% and only lost one game.
It tortured me because you were watching the game, Carm, I'm sure. Vegas or Utah scored with like 2 minutes to go in the period. I was like, it's too late. It's too late. I can't get one more now. It's too late, right? Like it almost made it worse for me because I was like, they're not going to get one more goal. It's too late now at this point.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of when we talk about it, and I'll talk about it in soccer terms. Then we got to move on to my opinion on this game in the pod. But and Andrew, I remember betting a Europa League soccer game, knockout stages. I have under 2.5. The scores after 90 minutes, 0-0. They put the sign up, 7 minutes of extra time. 93rd minute, they score. Same team scores 96th minute. Referee lets them play for another 5 minutes, even though clock said 7, and they score the third goal to win the game. And then he blows the whistle after the ball went into the net and ended the game 3-0. Those are the ones where when you lose them late, it's kind of like that feeling with you with the Sabres yesterday, not to rip that Band-Aid off again, but the Bruins looked like they were in full control until
2-0.
Until the Buffaloes came hurtling along. We're on, well, at least after one game, Andrew, we are on collision course to meet in the next round. That should be fun.
And if I'm back from my trip, in time to catch a game, I'm going to fly to you and we're going to figure out where to go together because we have to make that happen. If they both win, I think that I'm going to be back from my trip like a little bit into the second round. So I might have to cancel my my flight back and just fly to Toronto or fly to Buffalo or something.
Yeah. Well, everyone's waiting for my opinion on the Dallas and Minnesota game, Andrew. So why don't we turn this into the play of the day? Boys, the play of the day is over 8K now. The 8K, this is our highest amount as we try and get to 10K. I said I was aiming for 10K, and we're going to try it. I am taking the Minnesota Wild again, plus 113 in this one. As good as Dallas has to play tonight to even this series up at 1, it would not surprise me because you got a Minnesota team that is flying, that knows they got the important first game. Now they know all the pressure is on this Dallas Stars team to have to win tonight. I love the must wins and betting against them. And Dallas is in a must win tonight, and I'm betting against them. Minnesota Wild is your pod play.
And Carb, just so people are clear here, you're betting 200 on these plays, right? Just so there's no confusion. These are 200 for the bankroll purposes, right? So people know.
Every flat bet is 200. So at plus 113, it would be 2 to win 226. If a game is like minus 110, then it's 200 at minus 110, which pays about 182, I believe, somewhere in that area, and that's and that's how sometimes we have some weird numbers, but we started this NHL play of the day at the beginning of the year, showing you that if you can have the patience and just flat bet 4%, that's all it was. Starting bankroll of 5K, 4%, and let's get it to 10 so I can make some donations to those great charities that you guys mentioned, and drop one in the comment section as well too. Andrew, how about a prop play for the playoffs? Come on, man.
Let's do it.
I love these things.
Look, guys, tough one yesterday. We hit the play with the Montreal Canadiens. We did lose the 2 other plays. Bounce back today at my homepage. In about a half an hour time, you're going to have a 3-pack of plays available. Just one play so far, but we'll get the plays all settled together into a package. But we're keeping it simple with this one here. And this is a pretty good looking graphic we got here. Same game parlay, plus 102. So we're just kind of hovering along that plus money line here. Sidney Crosby assist and a Brian Rust point. Look, I'm a big fan of depth. Okay, the secondary scorers, the third scorers, but you got to have your best guys be your best guys. The Philadelphia Flyers beat the Penguins in game 1. The Penguins have to bounce back in game 2. Will they win? That is to be determined. But as far as a player prop is concerned, I think Crosby assist and Brian Rust point, I think these two get here. And Carm at plus 102. I'm happy to take these guys to get the job done today. Great little two-legger here with the same game parlay, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Game 2 in Pittsburgh tonight. I believe that game goes at 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, it certainly does. And speaking of people named Brian Leonard has a 5% play up at WagerTalk in the NHL. You guys know Brian does extremely well with his NHL and especially his 5% plays. So you can find that over on his page at wt.buzz/BL. Andrew, your overall assessment thus far in the NHL playoffs? 2 days in.
Are we talking betting or just like hockey perspective?
What is dominated as far as you're concerned? What style of play? Which team has looked the best?
I think what we've seen is it's important for us to look at defensive numbers. You look at how few shots the Ottawa Senators were able to get against Carolina. You look at how few shots the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to get against the Philadelphia Flyers. You even look at the LA Kings, even though they kept the game close, Colorado did not let them get that many shots. I think a lot of us, including myself, we love to look at offensive stuff, but the defense is very important to look at as well. Because here's what I'm going to say about that Carolina game. We didn't really talk about it, me and you, but, you know, they won 2-0. I made it clear I wasn't happy that they didn't score 4 goals for me, but the crazy thing for Ottawa is that probably wasn't even Carolina's best game, you know, and they still shut them down. So teams like Carolina, they're good offensively, Carm, but they're almost better defensively. So can't wait for that. And I'll tell you what, I just had a buddy of mine message me. He watches a lot of the West Coast games, sent me a highlight tape of all the hits in the Vegas and Utah game. Some of these series look like men amongst boys. And that series in particular, it looked like Utah was getting hit, smashed, hit into the boards every single minute. So physicality matters when it comes to the playoffs. That's for sure.
I think it does. I think the Senators, if they try the same approach tonight, are going to get burnt badly. I get it. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Olympics or kind of like the Four Nations. Brady Tkachuk wanted to fight 3 seconds in. He thought he would stir up his team. I actually think that a home team like Carolina, if they're not on their game, they're not on their game early on. And then they get better as the second and third periods. Why would you want to wake them up 3 seconds into the game by challenging a guy to a fight and the captain took it on and then trying to be physical with them? You can't do that at Kane's team. If you're going to beat up on a team, you get on a team that's not ready to play yet early. We saw it happen to the Oilers many times in the past. Look what happened to the Dallas Stars. They weren't ready to play out of the gates against Minnesota, and the Wild burnt them. So
you're completely right, Carm. Great points. Yeah. Great points.
So with that said, it's I think Ottawa played quite possibly their best game that I've seen them play in such a long time, and they are still on the wrong end of the score line. And that's, like you said, with the Canes maybe not playing their best hockey in that one, and yet they still created 4.8 of XG, like 5 goals of XG in a playoff game in which they only had 22 shots on goal. So,
well, I mean, what's going to happen with Ottawa?
29 shots on goal.
What's going to happen with Ottawa tonight? We'll find out, because the low scoring game didn't help them. So they're going to have to open things up. We'll see. But Carm, as I mentioned, going to be a few plays for me tonight. I'm actually going to have an NBA play tonight, as I'm not really active in the regular season, but the playoffs, as you know, in basketball, a lot more entertaining and I think more profitable to bet on. But that's it for me. Slow day at the office so far as posting stuff, but getting my thoughts together. What do you have going? Close the show out for us.
I'm tanned. Look at this. I'm whiter than you're whiter than me for once. I'm tanned. It's what 7 days in Turks and Caicos will do. Man, I played some of my best golf, Andrew. I only lost 4 golf balls. I only made 6 trips to the beer cart lady. And I did not hit anyone and didn't take any mulligans, didn't use any foot wedges. With that said, no soccer for me this afternoon. There's only a couple games, and I don't think there's an edge in either one. But I do have 2 plays up in the NHL tonight, one 4% best bet and one 3%. And hopefully we can go 2-0 and then move on to the $5 Tuesdays over at WagerTalk. Guys, don't forget, the Prez has a big play up. Brian Leonard has a big play up. Brian's going to be in Toronto in a few days. We'll see how he enjoys it north of the border. For myself, Andrew McInnis, and the Prez, guys, this is Puck Time. We will see you on Tuesday morning, 11 a.m.